Now let us discuss the first air standard cycle, that is the Otto cycle. This cycle is used in SI engine, that is the petrol engine. This cycle is the governing cycle of SI engine, right? Otto cycle. As we already discussed that there are four processes in any power cycle: compression, heat addition, expansion and heat rejection. So if we talk about the Otto cycle, or you can say the air standard Otto cycle, we have four processes. Ideally we have four processes, but let us see here. Suppose this is a PV diagram and this is the TS diagram for the Otto cycle. We know how to draw this PV and TS diagram. First process, if we talk about generalized, that from 0 to 1. From 0 to 1 we have constant pressure suction, right? We have constant pressure suction. In this process from 0 to 1, the air fuel mixture will enter into the cylinder. When the piston is going from top dead center to the bottom dead center, pressure difference is there. The inside the cylinder pressure difference, pressure is less, outside the pressure is more, so the air fuel mixture will enter into the cylinder. And when we will discuss the theoretical part, then you can see in the IC engine, the main difference in the IC engine is that the air fuel mixture which is entering into the cylinder will not depend upon the pressure difference between the surrounding and inside the system, because we have a cam mechanism which can operate the inlet and outlet valve. But still, if the pressure inside the cylinder is more, then it will be a resistance to the air fuel mixture which is entering. So 0 to 1, when the piston is going from top dead center to the bottom dead center, vacuum position will create, vacuum situation is created. Then the air fuel mixture will enter into the system at constant pressure. Now, from 1 to 2, process 1 to 2 is isentropic compression. Isentropic means adiabatic reversible. All the processes are reversible here. So 1 to 2 is the constant, or you can say isentropic compression, that is reversible adiabatic. So in this case, if we talk about the isentropic compression, your volume of the system decreases, volume decreases, then your pressure is increasing. Pressure will increase because of compression, and if pressure increases, then temperature will also increase. Why temperature will increase? Because you know that for the adiabatic process we can write T2 by T1 will be equal to P2 by P1 raised to power gamma minus 1 upon gamma. So if P2 is more than P1, then obviously T2 will be more than T1, right? We know this. So from this relation we can say that temperature is increasing in this case. But this is an isentropic process, so for this case your entropy will be constant. In this case your entropy will be constant, right? So this is the first process 1 to 2, that is the adiabatic compression. Now process 2 to 3, process 2 to 3 is constant volume heat addition. In the SI engine the heat is added at constant volume, right? Constant volume heat addition. So it is constant volume, so the volume will remain constant. So in this case, when heat is added, pressure will increase, and because heat is added, so temperature will increase. Temperature will increase, right? This is a air standard cycle, so air is treated as an ideal gas. So from the Charles law, you know that that if the pressure is increases, then the temperature will increase, right? We know this relation from the Charles law. So in this case also, in this case if we talk about that, in the process 2 to 3, your entropy will increase. Your entropy will increase, right? Why? Because the temperature is increases, and the increase in entropy, you know that increase in entropy in this case will be mcln T3 by T2, right? mcln T3 by T2. So if T3 is increasing, T3 is more than the T2, so we can say that entropy will increase. The change of entropy is positive, so the entropy will increase. So this is the second process, that is constant volume heat addition. heat is added as a constant volume. Then we have 3 to 4. 3 to 4 is the isentropic expansion, that is reversible adiabatic expansion. So if in this case volume will decrease, volume decreases, pressure will decrease in this 3 to 4, pressure will decrease, then temperature will decrease and entropy will remain constant. Because it is an isentropic process, so the entropy will remain constant. Now the fourth process is the 4 to 1, that is the constant volume heat rejection. In this case, in this Otto cycle, the heat addition and heat rejection both are at constant volume. So in this case heat is rejected, so we can say that in this process 4 to 1, volume will remain constant volume is there, pressure will decrease, temperature will decrease, and if you can see that entropy will decrease. Because temperature is decreasing, so the entropy will decrease, right? Because here also MC ln T1 by T4, T1 is less than T4, so entropy will decrease. And then the process 1 to 0. 1 to 0 is the remaining combustion products which are exhausted at the constant pressure, right? Constant volume means when the constant volume will be in the cylinder. Suppose the piston is moving, like, right, I am saying that piston is moving continuously inside the cylinder. For the constant volume of the system, piston has to stop, then only we can say that the process occurring when the piston is stopped is the constant volume process. So after the end of the expansion stroke, when the piston is coming down at the end of the expansion stroke, and when the piston is reaching at its bottom dead center, and then it will rise in the top dead center towards the top dead center, the moment it will change its direction, it will stop for a very less time, it will stop, and at that time when it stops, the exhaust valve will open and the gases which goes out, that is the heat rejection at constant volume. At that very moment, if the exhaust valve open, the gases which are going out is the constant volume heat rejection. But now when the piston will start going in the upward direction, it will pushes the extra gases which will remain in the cylinder, it pushes those gases to go out to the surrounding. So that is from process 1 to 0, right? And this will occur at a constant pressure because outside pressure is the constant pressure. So this will be the cycle: isentropic compression, constant volume heat addition, isentropic expansion, constant volume heat rejection, right? These process 0 to 1 and 1 to 0 will not add anything in the thermodynamic analysis of the Otto cycle, right? Because the work done in 0 to 1 will be equal to work done in 1 to 0. It will not give any calculation in the analysis, so we will just ignore this process 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. We will study only these process 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So this is the TS diagram. So if I say from here, from 1 to 2 work is consumed, that will be the work during the compression process. In this case, heat is supplied at constant volume. This will be the work done in expansion, and here the heat will be rejected at constant volume. So these are the 4 processes which constitute your Otto cycle, right? Now we have to find out what will be the efficiency of this Otto cycle. Now start solving for it. The efficiency of the Otto cycle will be equal to, if I write the efficiency of the Otto cycle or the efficiency of any cycle will be equal to the net work done upon heat supplied. This will be the efficiency, net work done upon heat supply, right? So if I apply the first law of thermodynamics for the cycle, and we consider this as a closed cycle, we already assume, if you remember the assumptions which we have to take during the thermodynamic analysis of the combustion systems, then we have to assume it as a closed cycle. So if I apply the first law of thermodynamics, the first law of thermodynamics for a cycle. The first law of thermodynamics for a cycle, for this complete cycle, the first law says that the summation of all the heat interactions will be equal to the summation of all the work interactions. This will be for a closed cycle, right? Summation of all the heat transfer will be equal to summation of all the work transfer. Heat added to the system is positive, heat going out of the system is negative. So this will be QS minus QR. Heat supply minus heat rejected. This will be the net heat interaction between the system. In the system will be equal to work done by the system is positive, WE is positive, minus WC. Minus WC, work required during this compression process. So this will be the net work. This will be the net work required. This will be the net work produced by this engine. The net work produced by the engine will be this expansion work minus this compression work for the closed system. So now if you use this formula here, then we can write that the efficiency of the Otto cycle will be equal to your W net work will be equal to QS minus QR divided by QS, right? QS minus QR divided by QS, and then you can write that efficiency of the Otto cycle will be equal to 1 minus heat rejected upon heat supply. 1 minus heat rejected upon heat supply. This formula is the generalized formula in each and every cycle which you have to study, whether it will be air standard cycle or your Rankine cycle, Brayton cycle, any cycle which you will study, the efficiency formula will remain same, that is 1 minus heat rejected upon heat supply. Now we have to find this heat rejected and heat supply based on this cycle. We have to find this, how much is the heat rejected and how much is the heat supply, right? So suppose let us start with this heat supply, that is for the process 223. For process 223, let us discuss this. For the process 223, right, this is a constant volume process. So constant volume process, if I write the first law of thermodynamics for this process, then it will say that your dQ will be equal to du plus dW, right? This will be the first law of thermodynamics for the closed system. First law of thermodynamics for the closed system will be this one, dQ is equal to du plus dW. This is a constant volume process. Also this is a heat addition process. So this is, you can see from here, 2 to 3 is a constant volume process. So the area under the curve is 0, right, and PdV work is 0. So dW is 0. So you can write for this process dQ will be equal to du. dQ will be equal to du, right? And you know that du will be equal to, this is an air for an ideal gas. You know this from the thermodynamics concept. You know that for an ideal gas du will be equal to mCv into dt. mCv into dt. For an ideal gas, you can write du will be equal to mCv dt for any process, right? We know these equations, that du will be equal to mCv dt for an ideal gas. So from here I can write, if I use this equation, then I can write that this dQ is equal to mCv dt. dQ is equal to mCv dt, and you know this, that this formula dQ is equal to mCv dt you can use for two conditions. One, for an ideal gas for any process. Second, for a constant volume process for any substance. You can write this equation. We know that is from the thermodynamics. Here we have both, constant volume or ideal gas. We have both, so we can use this dQ is equal to mCv dt. So from here I can write that the heat supply, if I integrate this, the heat supply will be equal to, mass is constant because it's a closed system, Cv is constant, we assume cold air assumptions, and if I integrate this, then we get that the heat supply will be equal to mass of the mixture into Cv into dt. For this process is T3 minus T2. T3 minus T2. This will be the heat supply. This will be the heat supply. Right. On the similar pattern, we have to calculate heat rejected. This is the heat supply. Now, for the heat rejected for the process 421, for process 421, for the process 421, we can write the first law of thermodynamics like this: dq is equal to du plus dw, right? And this is a constant volume process, so dw will be 0. So from here you can write that dq will be equal to du. dq will be equal to du. And because it is an ideal gas also, and this is a constant volume process, for constant volume process, whether it will be an ideal gas or not, right? This equation you can write for any substance. Why? For any substance. Why? Because process is constant volume. Process is constant volume. You can write for any substance. If here we don't have an air, if air is not there, then also you can write dq is equal to mCv dt for this process 223, because it is a constant volume process. So from here you can write that in this case dq will be equal to mCv dt, and if you integrate this, then you will get that the heat rejected during this process will be equal to mCv into temperature changes from 4 to 1 is T4 minus T1. T4 minus T1. This will be the heat rejected. This is the heat rejected, right? You know that this you can write for any substance. If your thermodynamics concepts are good, then you can easily solve these kind of a problem, right? For any substance you can write this. We discussed the thermodynamics in that too much detail with all the assumptions, with all the formulas, right? If you remember that, then you can easily solve it. Now, if I put this value of Qs and Qr in this efficiency, then it will be equal to, the efficiency of the Otto cycle will be equal to 1 minus heat rejected, that is mCv into T4 minus T1 divided by mCv into T3 minus T2, right? So from here you will get that efficiency of Otto cycle will be 1 minus T4 minus T1 divided by T3 minus T2, right? This will be the equation. This will be the first equation. Let us say first equation in the terms of temperatures, right? I will not suggest the students to learn these equations, to learn these formulas. I will not suggest, because when we solve it further in later discussions, when we solve it further, then you will get a relation, and you have so many formulas of the similar kind, right? For the reverse Brayton cycle COP, for the Brayton cycle efficiency, and so on. There is a similar kind of relations, and you will be confused and you will do the mistake. So that's why I am doing the derivation. So if your derivation part is good, then you can easily solve these kind of a problem. No need to remember the final result of the efficiency of an Otto cycle. No need to remember, because it will be a confusing part and you will be confused if you solve like this, right? Now the efficiency of the Otto cycle will be this one, 1 minus T4 minus T1 divided by T3 minus T2, right? Now we have to change this, we have to derive this furthermore. Now let us say that consider the process 1 to 2, right? This process 1 to 2, that is an adiabatic compression, right? So if I write here, for the process 1 to 2, for the process 1 to 2, that is an adiabatic compression, you can write here that you know this relation T2 by T1 will be equal to V1 by V2 raised to power gamma minus 1, and this will be equal to P2 by P1 raised to power gamma minus 1 upon gamma. You know this relation, right? You know this relation. And because this is a constant volume process, these two are constant volume process, so we can say from here that V1 will be equal to V4 and V3 will be equal to V2. We know this, right? So for the process 3 to 4, if I write for the process 3 to 4, we can write T3 by T4, write like this, T3 by T4 will be equal to V4 by V3 raised to power gamma minus 1, and this can be written as V4 is equal to V1, V3 is equal to V2, so V1 by V2 raised to power gamma minus 1. So from these two relations, the right hand side will be the same, so the left hand side will be the same. So we will get from here that T2 by T1 will be equal to T3 by T4, right? T3 by T4, or this can be written as T4 by T1 will be equal to T3 by T2, right? If I subtract 1 from both the sides, this can be written like this. So if you solve this, this will be T4 minus T1 divided by T1 will be equal to T3 minus T2 divided by T2, right? So from here you will get T4 minus T1 divided by T3 minus T2 will be equal to T1 by T2. You will get this one, right? So T4 by T1, T4 minus T1 divided by T3 minus T2 can be replaced with T1 upon T2. So from here I can write that the efficiency of Otto cycle will be equal to 1 minus T1 by T2. 1 minus T1 by T2, right? 1 minus T1 by T2, and T1 by T2 can be written as V2 by V1 raised to power gamma minus 1. This will be equal to 1 minus T1 by T2 can be written as, from the adiabatic expression, V2 by V1 raised to power gamma minus 1. V2 by V1 raised to power gamma minus 1. Now we define a term that is known as compression ratio, as we discussed earlier also. Compression ratio, that is R, right? Compression ratio R can be defined as, R will be equal to, we know that this will be V1 by V2, right? V1 by V2 will be R. So now from here you can get that the Otto cycle will be, efficiency will be 1 minus 1 by R raised to power gamma minus 1. R is compression ratio. You can write like this, RC, compression ratio. So this will be the efficiency of Otto cycle. This will be the formula, final formula of efficiency of the Otto cycle. 1 minus 1 upon compression ratio raised to power gamma minus 1. No need to remember these relations, right? You will be confused because so many relations will be there in Brayton cycle, reverse Brayton cycle, so many confusion will be there, so no need to remember these equations. So this is the way you can find out the efficiency of the Otto cycle, that is 1 minus 1 upon r raised to power gamma minus 1. Now from here you can see that since this gamma is greater than 1, if I can write, since this gamma is greater than 1, right, so as you increases this r, this efficiency will increase. So with increase in the compression ratio, your efficiency of the Otto cycle will increase. Efficiency of the Otto cycle will increase. Increasing the compression ratio means that the compression, this V2 will be very, very small. You are compressing the gas up to a more pressure or very less volume, you can compress it. So you cannot compress the air petrol mixture in this, because here we have air petrol mixture, right? You cannot compress the air petrol mixture up to after a certain limit, because while compressing, you can see from here in 1 to 2, while compressing, temperature of the mixture or the temperature of the system is also increasing. So after certain limit, this temperature will reach to the self ignition temperature of the petrol, or then the condition of knocking will be there, right? If you increase the compression ratio after a certain limit, then knocking will start and your efficiency will decrease. So you will not increase the compression ratio after a certain limit. So but in general, if you increase the compression ratio, then efficiency will increase. So this is the efficiency of the Otto cycle, and this is the way you can solve like this. Now in general, we will define a term in this Otto cycle, or in all the cycles we are defining a term. I'm rubbing this. We are defining a term that is known as mean effective pressure. Mean effective pressure. Right, just pay attention. Mean effective pressure. That is the next important term which we have to define, is mean effective pressure. That is PS. We denote it with PS. Now what is this mean effective pressure? Right. Now suppose I am rubbing this. We don't need this TS diagram now. Right. Now pay attention to the PV diagram. In the PV diagram, if you can see that throughout the process, from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 1, this pressure is continuously changing. It is increasing in process 1 to 2, again increase in process 2 to 3, then decrease in process 3 to 4, again decrease in the process 4 to 1. Pressure is continuously changing. Now, if I define a pressure that is known as mean effective pressure, then corresponding to this mean effective pressure, if this cycle works between the same volume level, this Otto cycle is working between this volume level. This is V1 and this is the clearance volume V2. This is the clearance volume V2, V2 or VC, V2 I can write. This cycle, this Otto cycle is working between the volume V1 and V2. This is top dead center, this is bottom dead center, this is inner dead center or top dead center, right? So if you see that, you know that what will be the net work done produced by a cycle, that is the area under the curve on PV diagram. Work produced by a closed cycle will be the area under the curve. So between this V1 and V2, this area, this highlighted area, this area bounded by this curve, bounded by this cycle, this area is giving me the net work done. This area is giving me the net work done, and during this the pressure is continuously changing. If I define a mean effective pressure, suppose this is the PV diagram. this is a PV diagram. Between these same volume limits, between this same volume limits, suppose this is V2 and this is V1. This is V1. Between the same volume limits, if I define a constant pressure, suppose this pressure, which will remain constant throughout this pressure, which will remain constant, right? This pressure and the area bounded by this curve, if this pressure is constant throughout the cycle, and now the area bounded by this curve, this area, if this area will again give you the same net work done which is given here, then this is known as mean effective pressure. Right? So I can say that when we consider a imaginary constant pressure such that it will give us the same net work done as in the Otto cycle for the same volume, right? For the same change in volume, then that imaginary pressure is known as mean effective pressure. Mean effective pressure is an imaginary constant pressure. This will be constant throughout the cycle. Constant pressure which will give the same net work done for the same change in volume. That is V1 to V2. If it will give us the same work. Now what is this work? This will be your mean effective pressure, M. Mean effective pressure into change in volume is V1 minus V2. PdV is the volume, PdV is the work. If I integrate it, this pressure is constant, it will come out of integration, and dV will be V1 minus V2. So this will be equal to net work done. And what is this V1 minus V2? This is your swept volume. This will give you the net work done. So once you calculated the W net, then you will get mean effective pressure will be equal to W net upon swept volume. If you calculate the W net from these equations, then you can easily calculate the mean effective pressure, and it will remain constant throughout the cycle, and it will give the same W net it will give. Then that pressure is known as mean effective pressure. In some of the questions they may ask what will be the mean effective pressure. So first, if you calculate the W net, swept volume will be given in the question, then you can easily calculate the mean effective pressure.